70th of the Bhagavad Gita of uh, so verse number 70th of the 18th chapter we had done. Adhye sate cha ya imam dharmyam sambadamavayoho jnana yagyena tenaha nishtaha syamiti me matihi. So Bhagavan says that ultimately, even if you study it again, you're going to get me. You're going to get this great benefit by discussing and studying and even talking to people who deserve to hear about this whole dialogue between me and Arjuna. And then he's also sort of praising the people who listen to this pravachana, satsang, this Bhagavad Gita. Atha srotuhu idam phalam. What are the benefits of the ones who listen to the Bhagavad Gita? That also Bhagavan sort of captures here. Shraddhavananasuyascha शृणुयादपि यो नरः सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभान् लोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम्. Shraddhavan anasuyascha. So these are the two conditions. One should listen with a lot of respect, a lot of love for this whole thing, with faith in the Lord's words, and then without finding faults, without looking for some gaps and being overcritical, not trying to understand what's being said, but trying to analyze it, trying to find faults. Sunyadapi, even just listening to it, yo naraha, the person whosoever does it, saha api muktaha, and then he is also liberated. Now, is he actually liberated? No, that will actually nullify the whole message of the Bhagavad Gita. He has a long way to go. He has to do the, this karma yoga, and then he has to do the antakarana suddhi, upasana, ishvara arapana buddhi, everything, and then he'll have jnana, vairagya, sravana, manana, nididhyasana. Very long journey. But Bhagavan is kind of enticing people to at least begin the journey by listening to this whole text. Subhan Lokan Prapniyat. He'll go, maybe he'll get, Prasastan Lokan, he says. He'll have a very good station in life. He'll be reborn in a good location. He'll go to Swarga. These are statements in the end of the Bhagavad Gita to sort of motivate people to listen to it. Prapniyat Punya Karmanam. And, whatever activities by doing Agnihotra, by doing meditation, puja, karma kanda, nitya karma, you are expected to get the results, those lokas, like Swarga Loka, Brahma Loka. Okay, so this fellow directly gets that. Now, actually, literally, this sentence doesn't mean that it's what Bhagavan says it means. I mean, what Bhagavan is trying to tell is that this is an extremely noble activity to even listen to it carefully. Look at how Shankaracharya makes sense of it. Shraddhavan, Shraddhadanaha, the people who have that faith in it, Anasuyaha, Asuya Varjitaha, they are not in the habit of finding faults. San imam grantham sunyad api, even if you listen to it, yo naraha, whosoever that fellow is, includes both men and women, api shavdat kimuta artha gyaman sa api, and then who can also make sense of it. Even if you listen to it, it's very auspicious. If you understand the meaning of it and then you are listening to it, it's extremely good. Papata muktaha. Much of it is, his purva krita, negative energies, negative sanskaras. They will be weakened, they'll be washed away. But I have told you this is stutyarthi. It's not that literally everything mentioned here is what is going to hold true, but Bhagavan is saying how he's trying to cheat us. No, he's not trying to cheat us. He's saying if you embark on a noble path, with my grace, you can actually reach the destination. But a million mile journey starts with the first step. And the first step is actually this listening. Then you do artha grahana. Then you study and you understand. Then you also teach it to others. Then you practice it. So this whole elevation starts there. Prasastam lokan prapniyat punya karmanam agnihotradi karmavatam. So he gets the result. If you do all the karma kandas, you just listen to Bhagavad Gita, you're getting the same result. Now Bhagavan has to ask this question to student because he has given a long lecture. He wants to know from the student whether actually he has fully understood what was conveyed to him or it sort of went over his head. जैसे टीचर्स ask the students, क्या हम जो बताए आप समझे, कुछ समझ में आया? So Bhagavan is asking here. शिष्यस्य शास्त्रार्थ ग्रहण अग्रहण विवेक बुभुत्सया. He wants to find out how much Arjuna was able to understand and how much he may not have understood. Therefore, he is very compassionate, he is very kind, and is asking. Tad agrahane gyate punah grahishyami. And if I explain to you, but you could not understand, what does the teacher do? He'll give some other examples. He will restart the whole dialogue. Therefore, he says, Tad agrahane, sastrasa agrahane gyate. If I know this, punah grahishyami, I shall explain it to you again. Upayantarena, maybe I'll have some other method to explain it to you. Api iti prastuhu aviprayaha. And this is the purpose of his next question, the prasta, the person. Bhagavan is asking this. Shyo yatnantaram asthaya sisya krutartha kartavya iti acharya dharma pradarsito bhavati. So, you have to anyway try to ensure that the student is, end of the day, benefiting from whatever you have conveyed to him. And what is the kartavya? There is a takeaway point here. Whenever we are conveying anything, we're giving any training, any kind of lecture, we should always take feedback whether the students listen to it and how it would have been better. कच्चिदेतत् श्रुतं पार्थ त्वय्येकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रणष्टस्ते धनञ्जय. Kachid etat shrutam he partha, oh my dear friend Partha, whatever you heard from me, tvaya ekagrena chetasa, were you able to listen to it carefully with concentrated mind? Could you actually hear me well? कचिद अज्ञान समूह प्रणष्टः ते, आपके जो अज्ञान और समूह, because these are the problems you had, so you were visadagrasta, whether your ignorance and your attachment, whether it was possible for you to get rid of them, have they been destroyed? O Dhananjaya, you are a Veera Purusha, but could you actually get what I am saying? Because you have physical strength and you are very brave, that we know, but do you also have equal amount of sharpness of the brain to be able to grasp what was conveyed to you? Kachit kim etad maya uktam, whatever was conveyed by me, sutam shravanena avadharitam partha, could you actually understand, could you carry it, could you hold it in your mind? Kim tvaya ekagrena chetasa chittena kingva pramaditam, whether could you hear it properly or your mind was somewhere else. You're thinking about your children, your brothers, the war, bloodshed. We are still stuck with those kinds of moral hassles you're having in your mind, or you're carefully participating in the long dialogue we had. Kachit ajnana sammoha, and whether that ajnana and sammoha that you had, or ajnana janita sammoha also we can understand like that. Ajnana nimittaha, same thing. Ajnana nimittaha sammoha. This particular sammoha, which is an outcome of ajnana, or caused by ajnana, ignorance, faulty understanding. Vichitta bhavaha, avivekata. So you had this a very completely upset mind, and you had lack of discrimination. Swabhavikaha kim pranashtaha. And this particular lack of reasoning, lack of a good, rational, discriminating mind, with which you were kind of overpowered by a lot of emotional hassles when we started the dialogue. You were so depressed. All those depressions are gone, or you're still stuck with those depressing thoughts? That is what he's asking. Yad arthaha ayam sastra sravanaya saha tava mamacha upadrishtutvaya saha prapritah tava dhananjaya. So, for example, because the purpose of this whole dialogue was that you will listen to it carefully and you will benefit from it. क्या आपको कोई फायदा हुआ, क्या आपको कोई लाभ हुआ इसका? क्योंकि हमने बहुत परिश्रम किए समझाने का. उपदृष्टुत्व आयासः, I had to take a lot of burden trying to explain things to you. And then Shravana Ayasah, you had to take a lot of pain to listen to this whole long story. Te tava dhananjaya, but end of the day, the purpose of this was to remove your depression. Are you free from the depression? That was Bhagavan's question. What does Arjuna say? Arjuna says, Arjuna uvacha nasta moha smritiralabdha tvat prasadan maya chuta sitoshmi gata sandeha karishye vajanam tava. Arjuna is very reassuring towards the Lord. Is acknowledging that he has been benefited. Nastu moha ममा मोह नष्ट मेरा जो मोह था अटैचमेंट था हमारे जो मोह थे that has been destroyed smritir labdha the things that I had learned in the classroom while attending the gurukula I have forgotten suddenly remembered those things. Oh my god, myself is immutable. Acholoyam sanatana, you are very right, but I had forgotten that. मैं भूल गया था कि आत्मा अविनश्वर है, निर्मल है, शुद्ध है, मुक्त है, बुद्ध है। हाँ, ये मन के कारण हमें लगता है हम आबद्ध हैं, हम दुखी हैं, हम सुखी हैं, ये सब चिंताधाराएँ आ जाते हैं। So he is saying that nasta moho smritir labdha. I have got back my smriti, my memory power. Tvat prasadat. And as a result of your grace, because you took all the pain to explain this long story to me, about the secret of karma, the secret of bhakti, secret of jnana, what is atma, what are the three gunas, how they trouble us, everything. Stitoshmi gata sandehaha, and I have reached a level where I'm beyond the doubts that I had. All the sandehas I had, all the doubts, all the queries, all the confusions I had, they are behind me. I've overcome them. Karishe vachanam tava. So I will definitely follow the path as shown to me. I'm going to be on the path. You have given me the disha nirdesha. So I'm going to follow that. Now let's look at Shankara Bhashya. Nasto mohaha ajnanajaha. This moha, this attachment, this delusion. This was born out of an ignorance of what the self is and what the phenomenal world is and how this phenomenal world, though it's external and objective, is not the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth behind what is phenomenal, what is diverse, what is dual, what is contradictory, is a unified reality which is conscious, which I call the self, the Brahman, the Atma, where all of us are one. Samasta sansara anartha hetu. And this moha, this attachment, is the cause of this sansara anartha, birth and death, pain and pleasure, so many dualities. Sagara eva dustaraha. And this particular attachment, this sansara, is almost like a sagara. That's why we say bhava sagara. This whole thing is like it is like a huge ocean, a vast ocean that you cannot swim through. Dustaraha, difficult to swim through. Smriti cha atma tatma vishaya labdha. Now this, the idea of what the self, who am I, who are these people? I was confusing this body and mind as myself. Now I've realized the self is different from the body, the mind, the panchakosha. It's panchakoshatita. And it's trigunatmika, this whole antakarana, stula, sukshma, sarira. But the atma is beyond these gunas. So, and he's saying, Smriti Atma Vishaya Buddhi Labdha, Smriti Labdha, Yasya Labhat, getting which Sarva Granthinam Bri Pramokshaha, Jitne Sare Agyan the. All the knots of doubts, all the knots in our heart of Agyana Granthis, they are all destroyed. So they have been snapped asunder. Tvat prasadat, as a result of your grace, tava prasadat, maya tvat prasadam. Asritena he achyuta, because I have taken refuge in you, and with your help I have overcome all these doubts and questions. Anena moha nasa prasna prativachanena. With this dialogue between the Guru and Shishya Bhagavan and Arjuna, between God and him, God and man, God and humans, moha nasa prasna prativachanena, and these dialogue, these questions and counter questions. Sarva Sastrartha Jnana Phalam Etavat Eva Iti Nishchitam Darshitam Bhavati. So all the Sastrartha that we studied in Bhagavad Gita are clarified with a definite meaning and purpose and conveyed to us. Bhavati tad uta agyana asomohanasa atmasmritirlabha cha iti. I think there's a printing error here. Agyana sammohanasa. Yeah, there's an extra akara there. So, as a result of which, agyana and sammoha, they have been verily destroyed, and end of the day, you have realized who you are. Um, there's a beautiful statement by Swami Vivekananda, most likely it's in fact taken from Vedanta. He's saying you don't have to learn new things. You have to, in fact, remember what you are. And all the truths are in you in a Vedantic way because your Swarupa is that Nitya Suddha Mukta Vigyan. That's our Swarupa. Swabhava is clouding because of these three gunas. And Bhagavan is mentioning, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, that this Atma Smriti Lava. So even to recollect who we are, to remember who we are, and to re-establish ourselves in the truth of our existence, in the truth of our reality, we need to do a bit of Shastra Dhyayana. These will remind us of our previous good sanskaras and reunite us with the lost truth of our existence. It will not give us the lost wells of some gold and diamonds, things like that. But it will give us the lost wealth which is much more precious. That is Atma Jnana. Tathata Srito Anatmavit Sochami Chandogya Upanishad iti Upanyasya Atma Jnane Sarva Granthi Dri Pramoksha Uktaha. So, there is a person who is very sad about himself. He's an Anatmavit. He doesn't know. That's why he's depressed. He's sad. That's in the Chandogya Upanishad 7.1.3. And starting with that sort of a thing, end of that, this Arjuna is saying, no, I have reached this final escape from the doubts and questions and depressions and confusions. Vidyade Hridaya Granthis, Mundagopanishad 2 to 8, Tatra ko moha ko shoka ekatvam annupashyataha, ईशावास्य उपनिषद it says, जहां पर और कुछ नहीं वही एक आत्म तत्व है उसको देखने के बाद फिर what is the attachment, what is the sadness? There is nothing to fear once you reach there. अथ इदानीं त्वत् sasane स्थितः. So by being disciplined by you, by being advised by you, astitaha asmi, I am here in front of you. Gata sandeho, so I am free from sandeha. Mukta san sanksheha karishya vachanam tava. I'll follow your advice. Aham tvat prasadat kritartho na mama kartavyam asti iti aviprayah. So there is no individual desire that, like for example, a karma kandi will say, I have to do this yaga, this or that. You have solved my problem. Whatever your advice, I'll follow. I agree that I still have to do my karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga, ishwararpana buddhya, and I'll have antakarana shuddhi, and ultimately I'll be on the jnana path. But I have already started the journey because out of kindness you have already showed me the whole journey path in advance, which is a big privilege because unless you have experienced it, you don't know. You don't know what it is like to do PhD in biochemistry unless you have started the subject. But here Bhagavan shows a trailer of the whole journey of spiritual self-exploration in Bhagavad Gita, even for the people who do not have much progress to record. So far, the journey of the self towards Atmajnana is concerned. Even we may not have self realization, even though we may not be Atmavid, even though we may not be Atmajna, even then, Bhagavan, out of compassion and kindness, has shown us what the total journey is all about. He has given us what are the distractions, what are the three gunas, what is the secret of karma, what is bhakti, what is sannyasa. He has clarified a lot of issues here. परिसमाप्तः शास्त्रार्थः अथ इदानीं कथा संबंध प्रदर्शनार्थम संजय उवाच. अभी ये दोनों के जो कन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन अर्जुन एंड our Lord Sri Krishna, Yogeshwara Krishna, it comes to an end. Now Sanjay, who was telling everything, to whom? He was telling everything to Dhritarashtra. And what this is being actually narrated by Vaishampayana to Janmaya. Okay, so this is after Mahabharata. He's telling all this story. This is how happened. This is how Sanjay was telling. So Sanjay is telling now to whom? He's telling it to Dhritarashtra. And he's saying this. इत्यहं वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च महात्मनः संवादमिमम श्रौष मद्भुतं रोमहर्षणम् इति अहं संजय अहं वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च महात्मनः. Vasudeva is the Lord of the universe. And Arjuna is very privileged. He's lucky. He's a Mahatma. Why else Bhagavan chose him to convey the message? There were so many other Pandavas. Yudhishthira was supposed to be a Dharmatma, but he did not pick him up. Why? Arjuna was sharper, had vairagya, had sharpness to understand things, so he picked him up. Sambadam imam asrusam. I heard it. Sambadam imam asrusam. I heard it. Adbhutam. Vichitra. It's out of this universe. I have never heard a conversation like this. What wonderful insights. I have got 99%, 100%, 110% of all my doubts removed by overhearing their conversation with the grace of God. Roma Harshanam is super excited. When you're watching a horror movie, you're watching a good movie, you are on the edge of your chair. When similarly you listen to a great speaker, when you listen to a seer, a saint, and his words, you weep. You are in an emotional, you are a bundle of emotions. Why? Because suddenly you are reconnected with all your secrets, which were withheld from you. By listening, the gateways to self discovery are opening. And through those tiny windows, they get enlarged. You see yourself. And then you become very emotional. You feel very good. And he's saying, Iti evam aham vasudevasya. Sanjay कह रहे हैं, I am Vasudevasya Parthasya cha Mahatmanaha. Sambadam imam. This particular dialogue between humans and God, Arjuna and Sri Krishna, imam, yathoktam, the way it was narrated, the way I heard it. Asrausham, I heard it. Shrutavan asmi, I heard it. Adbhutam is out of the world. Wonderful. Very surprising. Atyanta Vishamayakaram. It's very, I am flabbergasted. I could never know that the mystery of karma and bhakti and everything could actually be spelled out in a few verses. Exactly 700. If you take away this Vishada part and this and that, roughly maybe about 600 verses. इत्येवम् अहं वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च महात्मनः संवादम् इमं यथोक्तम् अश्रौषं श्रुतवान् अस्मि अद्भुतम् अत्यन्त विस्मयकरम् रोमहर्षणम्. It's like he's feeling that. He's trembling with great excitement and happiness. Romanchakam. Okay. His hair are growing on his body in that sense because of excitement. The excitement and happiness of listening to the truth, the ultimate truth. Tamcha imam, and then he says again, Vyasa prasadat srutavan. Then I heard it. Etad guhya maham param. Yogo yogeshwarat Krishna. Sakshat kathayatah swayam. Where did I hear this whole Yoga Shastra? From the Yogeshwara himself, from the mouth of the Lord of the universe, who was present in this dialogue as a human being. And he said, there are people, stupid ones, who do not understand who am I. And they think I'm a human being, born to a lady and a man, and have a limited point of time here. And I'm going to die like everyone else. They do not see my divya nature. My divine nature is completely, unseen, invisible, inaccessible to these stupid people who do not have sharp minds. Their hearts are not clean enough to be able to access the secret of my existence, my presence. And I am everywhere, but only few can see me, only few can relate to me, come close to me. Vyasa Prasadat, because Vyasadeva actually wrote Mahabharata. So he's also paying the writer of Bhagavad Gita, is also, giving respect to him. Vyasa Prasadat. Shrutavan etad guhyatamam aham. I could listen to this. Because व्यास जी ने दिव्य चक्षु संजय को दिया था. व्यास जी लिख रहे थे, महाभारत हो रहा था, संजय जी बैठ के टीवी में देख रहे थे. वो टीवी है अपना दिव्य चक्षु. व्यास जी दिव्य चक्षु देकर इन्हें He gave him the key, the secret access, the passcode to listen to this wonderful dialogue between the devotee and his Lord, the speaker of the ultimate truth himself, and the clouded minds that we are, Arjuna, in a state of clouds. But these clouds are removed by this dialogue. Guhyam aham, and this top secret king, Paramam Guhyam, and this is extremely, difficult to understand. Durvigayam, Guhyam, very, very, very deep, very mysterious, very mystical. Yogam, Yogeshwara. And about this whole Yoga Sastra, I heard it from Yogeshwara himself. Who was he? Krishna, the Lord of the universe. साक्षात कथयतः स्वयं, and वो अपने बोलते हुए मुझे सुनाई दिया. How privileged he feels, how good, how great he feels. And then he's repeating his surprise, the greatness of his experience there. Rajan sangsmritya sambadamimam kesavarjunayoho punyam rishyami cha muhurmuhu. And he's saying, "Oh Lord, Dhritarashtra," he's addressing him as Rajan. He knows this Rajanhood is there for another few days because Duryodhana, this was said, I think, on fifth or sixth day of the, or maybe later, in the middle of this whole Bhagavad Gita is narrated, this capture. Dhritarashtra started listening, not on the first day, but in the middle of Mahabharata. A lot of sons were already dead. He's hearing the story post facto. He knows I'm there for only a while. And he's, in a kind of admonishing him, but reminding him there is still a little chance that you can save your life and save the life of Duryodhana and whosoever is alive by rushing to Arjuna and ask for forgiveness and surrendering to the Lord. God is giving another chance to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is a blind man. Do you know what this means? Of course, there is a character called Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra is a person who is blind, who is very tamasic, and he's full of asuri sampat. Even if you tell Bhagavad Gita to him, you see one guy is super excited because he's a bhakta. He has pure antakarana. He's in tears listening to Bhagavad Gita. Indirectly, through Vyasa's prasada. It's going on in the Kurukshetra. He's sitting in the Raj Mahal, sitting in the palace and narrating it to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra has no emotions. Did he ask a single question? Did he call up Arjuna and say, okay, my boy, forgive me? No, because he's a bundle of arrogance and ego and ignorance. That's why it's symbolic in this blind person. He cannot see the truth. He hears it, but he's so blind to the truth that even if you tell all this is Parokya Jnana, even then it makes no difference to him. His anger grows. He's more depressed. He's more angry. He hates Lord Krishna. He hates Arjuna. The trouble with him is he doesn't have the ability to grasp the truth. He has no opening. He doesn't have eyes. It's not about physical disability. It's about an inability, it's lack of a certain vision to access the divine truth. Rajan, hey Rajan, he's telling him, don't forget you are there for a few days. Sangsmitya, isko yaad karte karte. By remembering what I heard right now, Sambadam imam adbhutam. By remembering this beautiful, this wonderful divine dialogue between Bhakta and Bhagavan, the devotee and the Lord, the professor and the student, Krishna and Arjuna, Kesava Arjuna Yoho, the dialogue between Arjuna and Kesava, Punyam Rishyami cha Muhur Muhu, and I'm so happy. And I think I have, maybe as a result of a lot of good karmas I have done in the past, that I got a chance to listen to it. And I am feeling so happy again and again. Hey Rajan Dhritarashtra Sangsmitya, by remembering all this, just by listening, by just listening to it and by remembering it, only Sangsmitya, only by listening, and Adbhutam, Kesava Arjunayoho Punyam Shravanat, this whole great, this epic dialogue between Api Papaharam Shritva Hrishyami. I'm so happy. Muhur Muhu, again and again, Pratikshana. I'm super excited. And then he's now adding a lot more to that excitement. He's figuratively expressing it. Tatcha sangsmitya rupam atyadbhutam harehe Vishmayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha muhu punaha punaha. And then he's reminding Dhritarashtra, you still have one more chance, my dear friend. Remember that Vishwarupa Darshana is also part of Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna saw the Vishwarupa, he saw the Vishwarupa, his cosmic presence, his cosmic appearance, his cosmic figure of the Lord with Divya Drishti. But Sanjay is lucky enough because he also accessed it, because he also had Divya Drishti from Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva is one of the 24 avatars of Lord Krishna, Bhagavan Vishnu. So Tatcha Sangsmitya Sangsmitya. And then whatever I heard, whatever I saw, when the dialogue was in the 11th chapter, and I saw the Vishwarupa, Adhuta Rupa, it's unimaginable what the Lord looks like in his cosmic appearance, which defeats all imaginations that are human. It's beyond all our thoughts, all our fantasies, all our hopes and anxieties and aspirations regarding what God may be like. It's beyond all our fears because it was fearsome. It's very difficult to deal with that appearance. It's a cosmic form, and it's impossible to deal with it. It's one of the reasons that Bhagavan hides himself from us because we don't have the capacity to grasp his presence and say, Tangcha Sangsmitya Sangsmitya Rupam Advutam Chamatkar, unimaginable. Harehe, of whom? Of Lord Krishna, of Hari. Vishwarupam, Vishmayo me Mahan he Rajan. I was flabbergasted, I was flustered, I was surprised. I was pushed out of my existence. I didn't know what I was looking at, my Lord. Vishyami cha punaha punaha. How happy I feel even now. That is gone, but I feel super excited. And then he concludes in the last sentence. And this sentence we will do Ucharanam after today's class twice. Of course, we still have the Madhusudana. We'll do that, and maybe after that we'll do it. But when you are doing Gita chanting, the last verse is repeated twice. King Vahuna, he's finally telling the conclusion. What is going to happen in Mahabharata? He's reminding Dhritarashtra, be ready to face the truth because I know what the truth is. So he says, Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanudharaha, Tatra Srir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruvani Tiramatir Mama. Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishno. Wherever there is Yogeshwaraha Krishna. Lord Krishna is there, he's Yogeshwara. He knows the past, the present, the future, knows the secret of karma, of you. Everything that we know. He's Sarvagya. He's the creator of the universe. He's Sarva Niyamaka, Niyanta. Obviously, he knows everything. Yatra Partha Dhanurdharha. And then wherever you have Arjuna is the person who is executing action. He's the Dhanurdhara. Tatra Srihi Vijayo Bhuti. And there definitely victory is going to follow them. They are not going to chase victory. Dhruva Nitihi Matir Mama. And then they will also protect the truth. The laws of good existence, of dharma, everything are protected there. This is my conclusion. Now, there is a beautiful takeaway point here. Actually, the Krishna and Arjuna are both existing in us. If we want to actually succeed in life, to lead a meaningful life, we have to make the Arjuna in us to come to the forefront, remove his depression, and that good self that we have, which has that straightforwardness, which has this vairagya, which is very philosophical, thoughtful, viveki, and connect him with the inner Lord, Lord Krishna, with Shastra Dhyana. And that viveka, once it is jagrata, will ensure that we win in life. So wherever you see a combination of Arjuna and Krishna, that picture that we put in Mahabharata at different places, that Arjuna is picking up his arrow after listening to Lord Krishna. He says all of us should pick up our arrow only after listening to Lord Krishna. Whatever action we are doing, whatever steps you are taking in life, it should be guided by the word of the Lord. The inner soul that we have, the inner truth that we have, we should listen to the within our hearts, our inner soul. And there is Lord Krishna. He's going to guide us. That is the inner truth. And then we are more likely to take the right decision. Unless and until we have heard him, we have heard our inner self, we are going to be in a zone of darkness, committing errors of judgment again and again and repeating them over and over again. यत्र यस्मिन् पक्षे योगेश्वरः सर्व ईश्वरः योगेश्वरः. जितने सारे योग शास्त्र हैं सबके ईश्वर. Why? Because he's sarvaniyanta, he's shastra yonitvat in Brahma Sutra it says. Everything begins his janmadhya saha. He's sarvagya. Why? Because everything happens starts with him. He must be sarvagya. ईश्वरः tat prabhavatvat sarva yoga बीजस्य च कृष्णो. And then he is the seed of all the sciences, all the yoga, everything. Prabhavatva, because everything has materialized out of him. This whole Srishti has manifested out of him. Cha Krishnaha yatra partho yasmine pakye dhanurdharo gandiva bandhava. And then he's holding this gandiva thing, gandiva dhanava. So dhanurdharo gandiva dhanava tatra shri tasmin pandavanam pakye vijayaha. So the Pandavas are going to win. Tatra eva bhutihi shriyo vishesha vistoro bhutihi bhritva dhruva avyavicharani nitihi naya iti evang matihi. So this is the law he's mentioning. Wherever you have Krishna and Arjuna, they're definitely going to win over. There's going to be prosperity, there's going to be wealth, there's going to be happiness, there's going to be harmony, and this is the spiritual law. And you cannot remove this law. This is what is my conclusion. Sanjay is saying, this is the Naya, iti evang matihi mama iti. And this is my view. In Sanjay is saying, this is what I am thinking. That is how the Shankara Bhashya of the 18th chapter comes to an end. Itisi Mahabharate Sata Sahasryam Sanhitayam Vayasikyam Bhishma Paravani Sri Bhagavad Gita गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्म विद्यायाम योग शास्त्रे श्री कृष्णार्जुन संवादे मोक्ष संन्यास योग नाम अष्टादशो अध्यायः. So, the interesting part of it is that we are looking at Bhagavad Gita through a few adjectives. First thing is that Upanishatsu. So, because it summarizes the messages given in different Upanishads, the Vedantic texts. Bhagavad Gita Upanishads Brahma Vidyayam, in the subject matter of Brahma Vidya, is about Atma Jnana. Yoga Sastre, it's also Yoga Sastra because there's so much of advice on how to purify your consciousness, how to refine and clean up your actions, how to connect with God. See, Krishnarjuna Sambade in the form of a dialogue between human beings and God. Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, because in the end, he says the ultimate thing, he divided what are the three kinds of sannyasis and all. Finally, in the 18th chapter, he sort of summarizes everything he has said in Bhagavad Gita. And he says, this is Moksha Sannyasa. After doing all these karmas, and you have Jnana Nishta, then you get the Samsiddhi, then you get that Parama Vairagya, and through that you will get liberation. But if you cannot, don't you worry. You don't have to worry. You fully surrender yourself to me, and with that surrender, you can continue your journey of doing Nishkama Karma, but be steadfast in your devotion to me. And that is also as good as sannyasa. If you cannot take sannyasa, don't you worry. You surrender to me, that is also a great kind of sannyasa, and I'm going to take you up, lift you from this bhavasagara, and grant you liberation. So this is how the Shankara Bhashya comes to an end, and I'm having a small break because I'm going to Jagannath Puri, and after that there's a meeting at Bhubaneswar, and then a couple of meetings in Kasi. Then I'll be back after a couple of weeks, but I'll keep you informed in the group, and when I'm back, we would start. When you are coming to Puri? I'm going on 18th, but I'll be in Bhubaneswar till 23rd, and then I think I need to put an end to the YouTube, and then yeah. So